Welcome everyone to our supplement review of the day, which is going to be caffeine as a pre-workout or caffeine for performance, right? When we talk about pre-workouts, what do we really want? We want more energy. That's one of the things we want, and caffeine certainly can be a staple for this. So what is caffeine? Well, caffeine is kind of a bitter substance that's derived from plants, and in essence, the thing about caffeine is that when you look at certain plants, it actually, for some plants, it serves as a pesticide. You're like, oh my God, I should stay away from caffeine. But actually, in some flowers, caffeine makes bees get really high. And when bees are really happy and high, they tend to come back to that flower, and that helps the pollination process. And that's what we're really trying to get. We're trying to get what the bee comes out of it. We want to be ready to go, right? Moving and getting a lot of work done when we go in the weight room. So now, caffeine has been studied, probably the most studied supplement maybe ever in sport nutrition is caffeine, okay? It's probably been studied at least as much as creatine or more. So when you look at all the literature, right, a lot of the literature, of course, is in endurance, and it does help with endurance. Like on average, you get 3 to 5% improvements when you're doing endurance, right? So if you're doing a cardio day, you know, it certainly help you go a little bit longer and burn more calories. We'll talk about that the next time. But what we're really interested in is lifting weights, heavy and hard and more volume. And what's the effect that we can expect? Well, there's a wide range actually. You see studies show that caffeine gives as little as a 1% increase to as much as a 20% increase in either strength or strength endurance, okay? And that's pretty cool, right? On average, with anaerobic performance, that means sprinting or lifting weights, caffeine seems to increase performance anywhere from 6 to 10%. That's quite a bit, right? And you know that, for example, if you haven't taken caffeine, you pop a caffeine pill, you might get at least a 20% increase just in training volume. As far as strength, I don't know, but you might get 1 or 2 extra reps in a set, and that is going to apply probably why is such a wide range? Probably the lifts that cause you to need the most motivation, like a squat or a deadlift, tend to improve more than like upper body, right? You can kind of push through a bench press, but when you're doing a squat, it's nice to numb the pain with that caffeine and get you in that state. So when we talk about dosage, there's a concept that was an old school psychology concept, and it's called the optimal zones of functioning. And we like to think of what is caffeine? It gets you fired up. It gets you excited. It gets your arousal up. Well, there's an arousal performance relationship. And what that means is that as you get more excited and amped up, performance goes up. But after a point, it starts to go down. When we get anxiety, performance goes down. You ever think about like when you were amped up to the perfect amount and you set a record for yourself on squats? Now think about a time when you were so amped up your hands were shaking and you got underneath the squat and your footing was off, and your technique became off, and now you didn't hit the lift. Because when arousal gets up to a certain point too high, it can mess the lift up. So what controls that arousal is going to be the dose of caffeine you take. And what studies show, resistance training anywhere from 200 to 400 milligrams puts you in that optimal zone, okay? Now, if you need a lot more than that, you might want to cycle back on caffeine because you might just be dull to it, okay? So you want to be sensitive enough to 200 and 400 milligrams, optimize your response. And what happens if you do more? 1, I get anxiety, my performance starts to go down, but 2, it may impair long-term adaptations. One of the things we look at with overtraining and overreaching is the testosterone to cortisol ratio. And what happens is that cortisol levels, when you go 600 and 800 milligrams of caffeine, start to spike to really high levels, and you mess up that testosterone to cortisol ratio, which the more trained you become, the more important that I think that becomes. Okay, despite with some of the really poor research that's done there with some of the labs in Canada. So, so basically that's when we talk about when should you take it. Caffeine peaks in the blood about 45 to 90 minutes after you take it. So if you have an hour-long workout, maybe take it 30 to 45 minutes before you work out. That seems to work out very well. When we talk about type, what's better, coffee or pill? Well, when we look at performance, they don't seem to matter, so it's your preference. I like to take something that tastes good, you know what I mean, like a pre-workout that tastes good, fruity, but it's really your preference. So let's summarize this up. Again, caffeine's kind of a substance that gets you pumped up. 200 to 400 milligrams seems to be ideal. You don't want to get too used to it, so you probably should cycle off of caffeine probably every 3 to 4 weeks, or just take it on just your hardest workouts. Take it 30 to 45 minutes before you train, and don't abuse it because it's going to make you more stressed, and too much stress can impair your gains. Thank you so much, guys.